My name is Maya Thompson, and I'm 22 years old. Imagine standing at your own college graduation, watching your parents hand your twin sister a $15,000 European vacation while you get a $10 Starbucks card and a lecture about gratitude. In front of 500 people. That's exactly what happened to me last May, and it changed everything about how I see family, success, and self-worth. Before I tell you how I walked away from 22 years of being invisible and what happened when my parents finally discovered who I really was, please take a moment to like and subscribe. But only if you truly enjoy this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time it is there. Drop it in the comments below. Now let me take you back to that morning when everything started to unravel. The morning of May 15th started like every special occasion in the Thompson household. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, adjusting my graduation cap for the 10th time, while down the hall I could hear my mother fussing over Sophia's appearance. "Oh, honey, you look absolutely radiant. This color brings out your eyes perfectly. Robert, come look at your daughter." My father's booming voice carried through the walls. "Both my girls graduating college. Though Sophia, sweetheart, that magna cum laude is quite an achievement." I waited for him to mention my summa cum laude. The silence stretched on. I walked downstairs to find them taking photos of Sophia in the living room. She posed effortlessly, her blonde hair catching the morning light, that familiar confident smile playing on her lips. "Maya's here," she announced, and my parents briefly glanced my way. "Oh good, you're ready," Mom said, already turning back to Sophia. "We should leave soon. We have something special planned for today." My stomach tightened. "Special?" Dad cleared his throat, that uncomfortable sound he made when he was about to disappoint me. "Now, Maya, don't get your hopes up too high. We know you prefer practical things." Practical things. That's what they called it when Sophia got a car for her 16th birthday and I got a bus pass. When she got a MacBook for college and I got a refurbished Dell. When she studied abroad in Paris and I was told international experience isn't necessary for everyone. "Of course," I said, forcing a smile. "Practical is good." Sophia caught my eye and quickly looked away. She knew. She always knew when they were about to do something that would hurt me, but she never said anything. Why would she? She benefited from their favoritism. As we headed to the car, Mom linked arms with Sophia. "I can't wait to see everyone's faces when they hear our announcement." My phone buzzed with a text, but I ignored it. Whatever was coming, I had a feeling this graduation would be different from what I'd imagined. The university auditorium was already buzzing with 500 guests when we arrived. Families clustered around their graduates, cameras flashing, tears flowing, pride radiating from every corner. I watched other parents embrace their children equally, and something hollow expanded in my chest. "Maya, there you are!" Dean Harrison's warm voice cut through the crowd. The distinguished man in his 60s approached with genuine affection in his eyes. "I was hoping to catch you before the ceremony." My parents, who had been steering Sophia toward their saved seats, suddenly paid attention. They didn't know that Dean Harrison had been my mentor for 2 years, meeting with me monthly to discuss my research project. "Dean Harrison," my father extended his hand, puffing up with importance. "We're so proud of both our girls today." The dean's eyes flickered between Sophia and me. "You must be. Maya's achievements this year have been extraordinary. That project she's been working on—" He paused, smiling at me meaningfully. "Well, let's just say some very important people have taken notice." "Project?" My mother's voice carried a note of confusion. "Maya, you never mentioned any special project." "Because you never asked," I thought. Out loud, I said, "It wasn't a big deal." Dean Harrison raised an eyebrow but didn't contradict me. "I'll see you after the ceremony, Maya. We have things to discuss." He squeezed my shoulder before walking away. "What was that about?" Sophia asked, genuine curiosity in her voice. "Nothing important," I said, because that's what they'd trained me to say about my accomplishments. My phone buzzed again. This time I glanced at it. Marcus Smith. "The offer letter is ready. 6 figures just like we discussed. Can't wait to have you on the team." I quickly tucked my phone away, but not before Sophia noticed my expression. Good news? Maybe, I said. My parents were already posing with Sophia for photos, directing extended family members to join them. Get one with both girls, someone suggested, and I was waved over as an afterthought. In every photo, I stood slightly to the side, like I was photobombing my own family portrait. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcement system crackled to life. Please take your seats. The ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Mom grabbed Dad's arm excitedly. Robert, should we tell the photographer about our surprise? We'll want to capture the moment. The hollow feeling in my chest grew heavier. Whatever they had planned, it was big enough to hire a photographer. And somehow, I knew it wasn't for me. As I took my seat in the graduate section, memories flooded back unbidden. Our 16th birthday party played like a movie in my mind. The whole family gathered in the backyard as Dad made his grand announcement. Sophia, sweetheart, come here. He'd dangled car keys in front of her while she squealed with delight. Then he'd turned to me with that same uncomfortable expression. Maya, we got you something practical, too. A bus pass. A year-long bus pass. Maya needs to learn independence, Mom had explained to our confused relatives. Sophia's more social, she needs a car for all her activities. The pattern never changed. When I won a full academic scholarship to State University, the dinner conversation that night centered on Sophia getting into her third-choice school. But it has such a lovely campus, Mom had gushed, and Greek life. Sophia will thrive there. My 4.0 GPA went unmentioned while Sophia's B+ average was celebrated. My research publication in an academic journal was overshadowed by Sophia making the sorority social committee. Every achievement of mine was met with polite acknowledgement, while Sophia's smallest victories warranted family dinners and Facebook announcements. You understand, don't you, Maya? Mom had said once when I was brave enough to ask why. Sophia needs more encouragement. You're naturally smart. She has to work harder for things. But I worked hard too. I worked 30 hours a week to pay for things Sophia got handed to her. I studied until 3 a.m. while she went to parties funded by our parents. I built my resume while she built her Instagram following. You're the responsible one, they'd say, like responsibility was a consolation prize for being ignored. I looked across the auditorium to where my parents sat, leaning into each other, whispering excitedly. They weren't looking at me. They never were. Extended family members filed into our row, and the familiar dance began. Aunt Patricia kissed Sophia on both cheeks. The graduate! We're so proud! Then noticing me, oh, Maya, you too. How nice. Uncle James handed Sophia an envelope. A little something for your future. He patted my shoulder. Keep up the good work, kiddo. I sat isolated in a sea of people, watching my family orbit around Sophia like she was the sun and I was Pluto. Technically part of the system, but too far away to matter. My phone vibrated again. I risked a glance. Marcus Smith. Also, the MIT recommendation went through. Full ride for your masters. Announcement next week. My heart hammered. MIT, full ride. The words felt surreal. I'd applied in secret, knowing my parents would call it overreaching or worse. Compare it to Sophia's rejection from her dream school. What's got you smiling? My cousin Derek slid into the seat beside me, one of the few family members who actually saw me. Just thinking about the future, I said carefully. About time something good happened for you. He lowered his voice. I don't know how you stand it, Maya. The way they treat you and Sophia differently. It's fine, I lied. It's not, he said firmly. But something tells me you're not going to take it much longer. Before I could respond, the lights dimmed. The ceremony was beginning. My parents were practically vibrating with excitement, and I noticed they'd moved a professional photographer into position near their seats. What do you think they're planning? Derek whispered. Nothing good, I whispered back, the weight of 22 years of experience behind those words. The university president took the stage, and I straightened my shoulders. Whatever was coming, I'd face it with the same dignity I'd maintained all these years, even if it killed me inside. Summa cum laude, Maya Thompson. I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, the honor cords heavy around my neck. The applause was polite, standard. From my parents' section, I heard modest clapping, no whistles, no standing ovation, just the bare minimum acknowledgement that their daughter had achieved the highest academic honor possible. I returned to my seat and watched 15 minutes later as Sophia's name was called. Magna cum laude, Sophia Thompson. The difference was immediate. My father's whistle pierced the auditorium. My mother stood up, tears streaming, hands clasped over her heart. The photographer they'd hired snapped rapid-fire shots. Extended family members cheered like she'd won an Olympic gold medal. Sophia had the grace to look slightly embarrassed as she walked back, catching my eye with an apologetic shrug. We both knew magna cum laude was impressive, but summa was higher. We both knew it didn't matter. And now, the MC announced, before we conclude, we have a special segment. Some families have requested time to share personal moments with their graduates. My blood turned cold. Around me, other graduates looked confused. This wasn't in the program. First, we'd like to invite Robert and Linda Thompson to the stage. My parents practically ran up, my mother clutching my father's arm, both of them beaming. The photographer positioned himself for the perfect angle. Thank you. My father took the microphone, his salesman voice filling the auditorium. We are blessed with 2 daughters graduating today. 2 different paths, 2 different journeys. My mother took the mic. Sophia, sweetheart, could you come up here? Sophia looked at me, something like guilt flashing in her eyes, before making her way to the stage. I remained frozen in my seat. Maya, my father called out, almost as an afterthought. You too, honey. The walk to that stage felt like a death march. Standing on that stage, I felt 500 pairs of eyes on us. The lights were hot and bright, making it impossible to hide. My mother had positioned Sophia between her and my father, while I stood slightly to the side, like a punctuation mark at the end of their perfect family sentence. We wanted to share this moment with all of you, Dad said into the microphone, his voice carrying that false warmth he used with clients. Because family celebrations are meant to be witnessed. I knew then, with absolute certainty, that whatever came next would hurt. They'd brought me up here not to celebrate me, but to ensure I couldn't escape whatever they'd planned. As parents, Mom took the mic, her voice trembling with emotion. We've watched our girls grow into young women. Sophia has always been our social butterfly, our shining star who lights up every room. The audience made appropriate cooing sounds. I stood there, smile frozen, waiting. And Maya, Dad said, turning to me with that expression that meant disappointment wrapped in false encouragement. Our quiet one. Still waters run deep, as they say. Though sometimes we wish those waters would sparkle a bit more. Nervous laughter rippled through the audience. Some people shifted uncomfortably. Dean Harrison, I noticed, was frowning from his seat in the faculty section. We believe in teaching our children different lessons based on their needs, Mom continued. Sophia has always reached for the stars, while Maya needs to learn the value of humility and gratitude. My cousin Derek stood up abruptly and left the auditorium. He couldn't watch what was coming. I envied him that option. So today, Dad announced, we have special graduation gifts for both our daughters. The photographer moved closer, camera ready. My parents were about to publicly humiliate me, and they wanted it documented. Time seemed to slow as I stood there, the stage lights burning my skin. Inside my head, a war raged. Walk off. Just turn around and walk off this stage right now. But my feet remained planted. 22 years of conditioning held me in place, the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who never made scenes. I thought about all the nights I'd cried into my pillow, wondering what I'd done wrong. All the family dinners where my achievements were footnotes to Sophia's social calendar. All the times I'd been told I was lucky to be so naturally smart, as if my 3 a.m. study sessions didn't exist. My phone buzzed in my pocket under my graduation gown. Marcus, probably. Or maybe the MIT admissions office. People who actually valued what I brought to the table. People who saw me as more than Sophia's forgettable sister. I caught Dean Harrison's eye in the crowd. He was watching me intently, his expression unreadable. He knew something. Maybe he knew about the job offer. Maybe he knew about MIT. Or maybe he just knew what it felt like to be underestimated. You could leave right now, the voice in my head insisted. You have a six-figure job waiting. You have MIT. You don't need this. But I stayed. Because some part of me, the stupid, hopeful part that never learned, thought maybe this time would be different. Maybe they'd surprise me. Maybe 22 years of being second best was about to end. Sophia, darling, my mother's voice cut through my thoughts. Come here, sweetheart. I watched my sister walk to center stage, her smile uncertain. She knew this was wrong, but like me, she'd been trained to play her role. My father cleared his throat. Sophia, you deserve the world. And there it was, the words I'd never hear directed at me. My mother pulled out an envelope from her purse, her hands shaking with excitement. The photographer crouched for a better angle. The audience leaned forward collectively, caught up in the moment. Sophia, our beautiful, vivacious daughter. Mom's voice cracked with emotion. You've brought us so much joy. Your spirit, your enthusiasm for life, your ability to make friends wherever you go. These are gifts that can't be taught. I stood 3 feet away, invisible again despite being on stage. We know the job market is tough, Dad added, putting his arm around Sophia, and we want to give you something special before you start your career, something that reflects how proud we are. Sophia glanced at me, discomfort flickering across her face. Maybe we should— No, no, Mom interrupted. This is happening now. We've planned this for months. Months. They'd been planning this for months while I was secretly interviewing with tech companies, accepting offers, arranging my future. We'd sat at dinner tables for months while they plotted this moment. Before we reveal Sophia's gift, Dad said, turning to the audience, we want to say that we love both our daughters, but we also believe in tailoring our support to each child's needs. Someone in the audience coughed. The discomfort was spreading like a wave through the auditorium. This wasn't normal graduation behavior, and people were starting to realize it. Sophia, Mom announced, holding up the envelope like a game show host, you deserve the world, and we're going to give you a piece of it. My hands clenched at my sides. That phrase, you deserve the world, echoed in my skull. The same words they'd said when she got the car, the laptop, the study abroad program. Open it, sweetheart, Dad urged. Sophia's fingers trembled as she took the envelope. Wow, can you imagine being in my shoes right then? Standing there, watching your parents prepare to humiliate you in front of everyone you know? If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Would you have walked off that stage or stayed to see it through? Keep listening, because what happens next changed everything. Now, back to that moment when Sophia opened the envelope. Sophia pulled out the contents of the envelope, and her gasp echoed through the microphone. Oh my God, are you serious? 3 months in Europe, my mother announced to the audience, tears streaming down her face. $15,000, all expenses paid, hotels, flights, meals, shopping money, everything. The audience erupted in surprised murmurs. Someone whistled appreciatively, others looked stunned at the extravagance. London, Paris, Rome, Barcelona, Dad listed off, pride radiating from every word. You'll see it all, sweetheart. You've earned this. Earned. The word hit me like a physical blow. What exactly had Sophia earned that I hadn't? I graduated summa cum laude while working 30 hours a week. She graduated magna cum laude while our parents paid for everything. This is too much, Sophia said, but she was already crying happy tears, hugging our parents. Nothing is too much for you, Mom said into the microphone, making sure everyone heard. You've always been our shining star, the one who brings light into every room, the daughter who makes us proud every single day. The photographer was going wild, capturing every angle of their embrace. Extended family members were standing, applauding. My aunt was wiping tears, and I stood there 3 feet away, forgotten. "When do I leave?" Sophia asked, her voice bright with excitement. "Next week," Dad announced. "We wanted you to go while you're young, before life gets too serious. This is your time to shine, baby girl." Dean Harrison had stood up in the faculty section. He was staring directly at me, his expression a mixture of anger and concern. He started making his way toward the side of the stage. "Now," my mother said, finally remembering I existed. "Maya, sweetheart, come here." The tone shift was so dramatic that several people in the audience actually gasped. The warmth drained from my mother's voice as she turned to me. The photographer actually lowered his camera, sensing the shift in atmosphere. "Maya," Dad said, his tone now professorial, like he was about to deliver a lesson. "Our practical daughter. Our serious one." The audience had gone quiet. The celebration atmosphere evaporated like morning mist. "We've watched you work so hard," Mom said, but it didn't sound like praise. "Always studying, always buried in books, never taking time to enjoy life like your sister does." "She needs to learn different lessons," Dad announced to the audience, as if they'd asked for an explanation. "Maya tends to be, how should I put this, less grateful for what she has." Someone in the audience actually said, "What?" "She's always wanting more," Mom added, completely rewriting history, "always comparing herself to others. We think it's important she learns that life isn't about material things." I hadn't asked them for anything in 3 years. Not since I'd learned that asking meant hearing about how Sophia needed it more. "Success isn't just about grades," Dad continued, his voice taking on that patronizing tone I knew so well. "It's about character, humility, understanding your place in the world." My place. He was literally putting me in my place, in front of 500 people. Professor Martinez, who'd supervised my research, stood up and walked out. She didn't even try to be discreet about it. "So Maya," Mom said, reaching into her purse again, "we have something for you too. Something that we hope will teach you the value of appreciating small gestures." The comparison was so blatant, so cruel, that even Sophia stepped back, her celebration forgotten. "This isn't right," someone whispered loudly enough for the microphone to catch. But my parents were too deep into their performance to stop now. My mother pulled out a small white envelope, the kind you get at grocery store customer service desks. She held it between two fingers like it was something precious. "Maya, this is for you." I took the envelope with steady hands, though inside I was shaking. The paper felt cheap, flimsy. I opened it slowly, already knowing it would be bad but not imagining how bad. A Starbucks gift card fell into my palm. The amount was printed clearly, $100. The auditorium went completely silent. Someone's program fluttered to the floor, the sound echoing in the stillness. $10, Mom said into the microphone, as if people might not understand. "To remind you that life's pleasures should be simple, that a cup of coffee can be just as meaningful as," she gestured to Sophia, "grander adventures." "It's about learning gratitude," Dad added, his voice booming through the speakers. "Some children need to be given the world. Others need to learn to appreciate what they have." I heard someone in the audience say, "Are they serious?" "This represents starting small," Mom continued, completely oblivious to the horror spreading through the crowd. "Maybe if Maya learns to be grateful for small things, bigger things will come." "We love both our daughters equally," Dad lied to the audience. "We just show it differently." $15,000 versus 10. The math was so absurd that someone actually laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. I looked at the gift card in my hand. Then I looked at my parents, really looked at them. They seemed proud of themselves, like they'd just taught me some profound life lesson. I stepped up to the microphone. "Thank you," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "You've taught me more than you know." The words hung in the air, loaded with meaning they couldn't grasp. I held the microphone with the same steady hands that had typed my resignation letter from this family an hour ago, saved in my drafts, waiting. "Thank you, Mom and Dad," I said, my voice carrying clear and strong through the auditorium. "You've taught me valuable lessons about worth, value, and exactly where I stand." My parents beamed, missing the undertone completely. "You've taught me that some children deserve the world while others deserve $10. You've taught me that love can be conditional, measured in public gestures and price tags." Their smiles began to falter. "Most importantly," I continued, looking directly at them, "you've taught me that family isn't always the people who share your blood. Sometimes it's the people who see your worth when your own parents don't." Dean Harrison had reached the side of the stage. He gave me the smallest nod of encouragement. "I want to thank my professors, my mentors, and the people who believed in me when my own family couldn't. Your investments in my future mean more than you know." "Maya," my father warned, his face reddening. "I'm almost done," I said calmly. "I just want everyone to know that I'm grateful. Grateful for this moment of absolute clarity, grateful for the lessons learned, and grateful for the opportunities ahead that I've earned entirely on my own." I held up the $10 gift card. "This represents more than you intended. It represents the value you've placed on me for 22 years. And you know what? That's okay, because I've learned to value myself." I handed the microphone back to my stunned mother and walked off the stage with my head high. Behind me, the auditorium exploded in whispers. "Some gifts aren't wrapped in ribbons," I said to Dean Harrison as I passed him. He squeezed my shoulder, his eyes full of pride. The moment I left the stage, people swarmed me. Professor Martinez reached me first, her face flushed with indignation. "Maya, that was—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "That was graceful. More graceful than they deserved." "I'm so sorry," another professor said, touching my arm. "We had no idea your family situation was like this." My phone was buzzing non-stop. I pulled it out to see a text from Marcus. "Just saw a video someone posted. Contract ready whenever you are. Also, fuck your parents. Respectfully." "Maya." Dean Harrison appeared at my elbow, steering me away from the crowd. "Next week's honors ceremony, I'll be announcing your MIT scholarship and the publication of your research. Your parents don't know, do they?" "No," I admitted. "I never told them. They never asked." His expression was grim. "They'll find out next week, along with everyone else." My classmates were approaching in waves. Sarah, who'd studied with me countless late nights, hugged me tight. "We knew you were working jobs they didn't know about. We knew you were brilliant, but we didn't know it was this bad." "It's fine," I started to say, but she cut me off. "It's not fine. It's abuse. Financial and emotional abuse." My phone buzzed again. "Derek." "Left because I couldn't watch. You okay? Have spare room if you need it." I looked back at the stage where my parents were trying to salvage the situation, talking rapidly to confused relatives. Sophia stood apart from them, looking lost, her European trip envelope hanging limply from her hand. "There's more, isn't there?" Dean Harrison said quietly. "More they don't know about your success." "So much more," I whispered. "Good," he said firmly. "Let them find out when everyone else does." The reception afterward was a masterclass in denial. My parents acted like nothing had happened, laughing too loudly, drinking too much champagne, pulling Sophia into photo after photo. "Maya's always been sensitive," I heard Mom telling my aunt. "She'll understand when she's older that we did this for her own good." "Linda," my aunt replied carefully, "you gave one child $15,000 and the other 10, in public. How is that for her own good?" "You don't understand," Dad interjected. "Maya's different. She doesn't appreciate things the way Sophia does." I packed my car quietly during the reception. Everything I owned fit in my Honda Civic, the one I'd bought myself with money from tutoring jobs they didn't know about. Clothes, laptop, the few personal items that mattered. My entire life in 3 boxes and 2 suitcases. The letter I left was brief. Thank you for making your position clear. I'm starting my journey now, the one I've been building while you weren't watching. I wish you all the best with the daughter you chose. Please don't contact me. I need time to process 22 years of being shown I wasn't worth your investment. Maya. At 2 a.m., while they slept off the champagne in false triumph, I drove away. Sophia had texted me 11 times. Where are you? This isn't fair. I didn't know they were going to do that. Please don't leave me alone with this. I didn't respond. She'd had 22 years to speak up, to say something, to refuse even once to accept what was taken from me and given to her. Her silence had been its own choice. My new apartment was small, furnished, temporary. But it was mine, paid for with my own money, secured with my own credit. They'd understand soon enough. The Uber arrived at 2:47 a.m. I'd already loaded my car earlier, but I wanted to walk through the house one last time. Every room held a memory of being second best. The kitchen where family dinners celebrated Sophia's C+ in chemistry, while my perfect report card lay unmentioned on the counter. The living room where her prom photos covered the mantel while my National Honor Society certificate stayed in a drawer. I stood in my empty bedroom, looking at the walls still covered with academic awards they'd never bothered to frame. Valedictorian certificate, State Science Fair winner, Presidential Scholar nominee. I took photos of them all, not for sentiment, but for evidence. Evidence of who I really was when they weren't looking. My phone screen showed 17 missed calls from various family members. The family group chat was exploding with messages I didn't read. I opened my settings and systematically blocked them all. Mom, Dad, Sophia, aunts, uncles, everyone except Derek. To him, I sent one message. Starting fresh, I'll reach out when I'm ready. Thank you for seeing me. He replied immediately despite the hour. Proud of you. Always here. The apartment Marcus had helped me find was 40 minutes away. Far enough to breathe, close enough to commute to my new job. As I walked through my parents' house one last time, I didn't feel sad. I felt like I was leaving a prison where the bars had been made of disappointment and the locks were my own hope that things would change. I left my house key on the kitchen counter, next to the family photo from last Christmas. In it, I stood slightly apart, like always. But now I understood that distance had been preparing me for this moment. Freedom tasted like silence at 3 a.m., and no one to disappoint. Monday morning, I walked into the gleaming offices of Innovate Tech, wearing a suit I'd bought myself, carrying a laptop bag that wasn't a hand-me-down, feeling like a real person for the first time in my life. Maya Thompson? The receptionist smiled warmly. Mr. Smith is expecting you. Welcome to the team. Marcus greeted me with genuine enthusiasm. There she is, ready to change the world. Ready to try, I said, and meant it. The salary was real. $150,000 at 22. Benefits. Stock options. A signing bonus I used to secure a better apartment. Numbers that would have made my parents' jaws drop if they'd bothered to ask about my job search. My phone had been silent for 3 days. The blocking held firm, though I'd had to resist checking my old email. Derek sent updates. They're losing it. Calling everyone. Sophia's freaking out. I didn't care. Or rather, I cared exactly $10 worth. The work was challenging, exciting, everything I dreamed of while studying in the library until dawn. My colleagues treated me like I had value, like my ideas mattered, like I was worth investing in. You're exceeding expectations already, Marcus said on Thursday. That algorithm you proposed? Genius. Thank you, I said, still learning to accept praise without qualifying it. By the way, he added casually, Sophia Thompson applied for our entry-level marketing position. Any relation? My stomach clenched. My twin sister. Ah. He studied my face. I saw the video from graduation. Want me to handle this? No, I said firmly. Treat her like any other candidate. Fair and square. Fair and square, he agreed. Though between you and me, her resume doesn't hold a candle to yours. 3 days until Dean Harrison's ceremony. 3 days until the truth went public. While I was building my new life, Sophia was apparently unraveling. Derek sent me screenshots I didn't ask for, but couldn't help reading. Sophia's Instagram post. When your sister disappears and your parents pretend everything's fine, this family is built on lies. The comments were brutal. People from graduation had shared the story. The video someone took had gone viral in our university network. Hashtag $10 Maya was actually trending locally. She'd applied to Innovate Tech without knowing I worked there. Her cover letter, which Marcus showed me per protocol, mentioned her strong family values and supportive network. The irony was thick enough to choke on. Mom and Dad, according to Derek, were in full damage control mode. They told everyone I was taking some time to find myself, and that my dramatic exit was just temporary. They were still booking Sophia's Europe trip, posting about it on Facebook like nothing had happened. Your parents asked me where you're working, Derek texted. Told them I didn't know. They don't believe me. Good. Let them wonder. Let them realize that the daughter they'd ignored had been building an entire life they knew nothing about. Sophia had tried emailing my university account. Maya, this is insane. Come home. Mom and Dad are sorry. They want to talk. They weren't sorry. They were embarrassed. There's a difference. The dean's ceremony was tomorrow. I'd confirmed my attendance, knowing full well my parents would be there for Sophia's minor award. She was getting a participation in student activities certificate. I was getting something else entirely. You sure you want to do this? Marcus asked when I requested the afternoon off. They made their choices in public, I said. It's only fair they see the consequences the same way. Tomorrow, everything would change. Again. Sometimes the best response to disrespect is success. If you've ever had to choose between family harmony and self-respect, you know this feeling. What do you think? Did I go too far by leaving, or not far enough? Drop a comment below with your thoughts. And if you're still listening, that means this story resonates with you. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next? It's the kind of karma you dream about. Now let me tell you about the ceremony that changed everything. The annual honors ceremony was smaller than graduation, maybe 200 people in the university's elegant reception hall. I arrived early, slipping in through a side door, positioning myself where I could see but not be seen. My parents arrived with Sophia 15 minutes before start time, Mom fussing with Sophia's hair, Dad checking his phone constantly. They looked older somehow, just 5 days later. Stressed. They kept scanning the room, and I knew they were looking for me. Maya Thompson? A gentle voice beside me. Mrs. Chen, the university's development director. Dean Harrison wants you backstage. You're part of the main presentation. As I followed her, I passed close enough to hear Mom telling another parent, Maya's taking a break. You know how intense she can be, always pushing too hard. Dean Harrison was waiting backstage with a warm smile. Ready to show them who you really are? I've been ready for 22 years, I said. The ceremony began with standard awards. Sophia received her participation certificate to polite applause. She looked hollow, going through the motions. Without me to compare herself to, perhaps she was finally seeing the truth of her achievements. And now, Dean Harrison took the podium. I want to talk about exceptional. Not good, not great, but truly exceptional. The kind of student who comes along once in a decade. My parents perked up, probably thinking he meant someone else. Anyone else. This student maintained a perfect 4.0 while working 30 hours a week, published groundbreaking research in artificial intelligence, secured a position at one of the nation's top tech firms, and did it all while facing personal challenges that would have broken most people. The room was listening intently now. Our most exceptional graduate isn't here tonight because she's already changing the world, but her story needs to be told. Maya Thompson, Dean Harrison announced, and my parents' faces went white. Valedictorian, summa cum laude, published researcher, and as of this week, the youngest senior developer ever hired at Innovate Tech, with a starting salary that would make full professors envious. Gasps rippled through the audience. Someone whispered, "Isn't that the $10 gift card girl?" But that's not all, Dean Harrison continued, his voice carrying clear authority. Maya has been awarded a full scholarship to MIT's graduate program in artificial intelligence. The scholarship is valued at over $200,000. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father gripped his chair. She achieved this while working multiple jobs to support herself through college, never once asking for help, never once complaining. She tutored struggling students for free. She volunteered at coding camps for underprivileged kids. She did all this while certain people in her life told her she wasn't worth investing in. He wasn't looking at my parents, but everyone else was. Maya Thompson represents everything our institution stands for: perseverance, brilliance, and the ability to succeed despite systemic disadvantage. She's proof that talent and hard work will always triumph over favoritism and privilege. "Where is she?" someone called out. "Working," Dean Harrison said simply. "Because unlike some people, she doesn't need public validation to know her worth. She's already living it." The presentation screen lit up with my achievements. Research papers, awards, the MIT acceptance letter, even a photo from my first day at Innovate Tech that Marcus had posted on LinkedIn with the caption, "Welcome our newest genius." Sophia stared at the screen, tears streaming down her face. My parents sat frozen, their world reshaping itself in real time. "We're creating the Maya Thompson Excellence Fund," Dean Harrison announced, "for students who succeed despite, not because of, their circumstances." The applause was deafening. The moment Dean Harrison finished, my parents were surrounded, not with congratulations, but with questions, accusations, barely concealed disgust. "How could you give her $10? Mrs. Patterson, whose daughter had been my study partner, didn't bother hiding her contempt. "MIT, Innovate Tech? And you gave her $10? "We didn't know," Mom stammered, her carefully maintained composure cracking. "She never told us." "Did you ever ask?" Professor Martinez had approached, her voice ice cold. "I mentored Maya for 2 years. Not once did you attend her research presentations. Not once did you ask about her work." Dad tried to deflect. "Maya's always been independent." "You mean neglected," someone else said. "We all saw the graduation video. It went viral. You humiliated that brilliant girl for what? To make your other daughter feel special?" Sophia stood apart from them, staring at her participation certificate like it might transform into something more meaningful. She looked up, scanning the room, and our eyes met across the space. I hadn't meant to be seen, but there I was, standing in the back doorway. The recognition in her eyes was immediate. She took a step toward me, but I shook my head once, firmly. "Maya!" Mom's voice cracked across the room. "Maya, sweetheart, wait!" But I was already leaving. Behind me, I heard the development director saying, "Mrs. Thompson, I think you should know that Maya has already declined to have any family members associated with her Excellence Fund. She was quite specific about that." My phone buzzed. "Marcus. Saw the ceremony live stream. Your parents look like they've been hit by a truck. Good." Then another. "BTW, your sister's application was rejected. Not because of you. She just wasn't qualified." The parking lot was quiet, peaceful. I sat in my car for a moment, feeling the weight of 22 years lifting off my shoulders. The rejection email hit Sophia's inbox while she was still at the ceremony. I know because Derek, who'd been sitting behind them, saw it happen. "Thank you for your interest in Innovate Tech. After careful consideration, we've selected another candidate whose qualifications better match our requirements." The same template thousands of applicants receive. No special treatment, no favoritism. Exactly what I'd asked for, fair and square. Derek texted me the play-by-play. "She showed your parents. Your mom actually said, 'Call Maya, she works there.' Your dad said, 'She'll help her sister.' They still don't get it." The irony was perfect. They'd spent my entire life telling me Sophia deserved more because she needed more help. Now she actually needed help, and I wasn't available to give it. More texts from Derek. Your mom is crying, saying Maya could have told us. Your dad keeps repeating 6 figures at 22, like his brain can't process it. Marcus called me that evening. Your sister's application was interesting. Her main qualifications seemed to be excellent at social media engagement. She listed her Europe trip as upcoming international experience. The trip our parents gave her, I said flatly. Yeah, I figured. Look, even if you'd wanted me to hire her, I couldn't. She's not qualified for any position we have. Her degree is in communications with a 3.2 GPA. No internships, no relevant experience, no technical skills. All those years of being told Sophia was the star, and it turned out she was only shining in the small universe of our family's delusions. She listed your mother as a reference, Marcus added. Under relationship to applicant, your mom wrote proud parent of exceptional daughter. She meant Sophia, I said. Obviously. But the irony is delicious. It was. It really was. By day 7, I had 47 missed calls, despite having blocked their numbers. They'd been calling from other phones, leaving voicemails that went to a folder I checked once out of morbid curiosity. Mom, crying. Maya, sweetheart, we didn't know. How could we know if you didn't tell us? Please come home. We love you. Dad, angry. This is ridiculous, Maya. You're being childish. Family doesn't abandon family over money. Sophia, desperate. I need that job, Maya. Mom says you can put in a word. It's not fair that you're punishing me. Mom again, bargaining. We'll cancel Sophia's trip. We'll give you the money instead. Is that what you want? Dad again, guilt. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. You're breaking her heart. Sophia again, bitter. You got everything you wanted, the job, the scholarship, the attention. What more do you need? The most telling one was from Mom, late at night, wine-slurred. You were always so easy, Maya. Never asked for anything, never complained. Sophia was louder, needier. We thought you were fine. We thought you didn't need us. That one almost got to me. Almost. Until I remembered all the times I had asked, had needed, had reached out only to be told Sophia came first. The final voicemail was different. Dad, sober, quiet. The dean told us about your research, about the kids you tutored for free, about the jobs you worked. We didn't know our daughter at all, did we? We had a stranger in our house for 22 years, and we never bothered to know her. No, they knew exactly who I was. They just didn't think it mattered. I deleted them all and changed my number. I sat in my new apartment, laptop open, composing the email that would set the boundaries for whatever came next. The city lights twinkled outside my window, a view I'd earned, not been given. To Robert and Linda Thompson, CC, Sophia Thompson. Subject, terms for future contact. I've taken time to consider whether I want any relationship with you going forward. Here are my non-negotiable terms. 1. 6 months of no contact, starting now. You need time to understand what you've done, and I need time to heal from it. 2. Family therapy is required, not suggested, required. I want documentation that you've attended at least 12 sessions. 3. No discussions about money, not my salary, not my assets, not loans, not gifts, ever. 4. Sophia gets nothing through me. No job referrals, no connections, no favors. She can succeed or fail on her own merits like I had to. 5. If we do resume contact, it will be limited. Holidays, perhaps. Brief calls. But never again will you be central to my life. 6. You will never again compare us. Not publicly, not privately. We are separate people on separate paths. These terms are not negotiable. If you violate any of them, contact ends permanently. I wish you well on your journey to understanding what family really means. Maya. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I closed my laptop and got ready for work. I had a presentation in the morning about the new algorithm I'd developed. My manager said C-suite would be there. My phone, my new number only 5 people had, buzzed with a text from Marcus. Heard you laid down the law. Good for you. See you tomorrow, superstar. Superstar. Not compared to anyone else. Not in spite of anyone else. Just me, being seen for exactly who I was. The social fallout was swift and merciless. Derek kept me updated even when I didn't ask, unable to resist sharing the spectacular collapse of my parents' reputation. Facebook is brutal, he texted with screenshots. Mom's post about Sophia's Europe trip had backfired spectacularly. Comments ranged from, "How can you celebrate after what you did to Maya?" to 15,000 versus $10, Mother of the Year. The country club, where Dad had been so proud of his membership, was apparently buzzing. Mrs. Wellington, the queen bee of their social circle, had publicly snubbed Mom at a charity luncheon. "I don't associate with people who abuse their children," she'd said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Dad's business was suffering too. 3 clients had pulled out after the video made rounds on LinkedIn with the caption, "Would you trust someone who values one child at $15,000 and another at $10?" But the worst blow came from Sophia's social circle. Her sorority sisters, who'd always envied her seemingly perfect family, were now distancing themselves. Her Europe trip Instagram posts were getting comments like, "Must be nice to vacation on your sister's tears," and 30 pieces of silver vibes. She'd posted once about the trip being canceled due to family circumstances, and someone had replied, "You mean because everyone knows how you got it?" The extended family had split into camps. Some defended my parents with, "Family business should stay private," while others, like Aunt Patricia, publicly declared, "I'm ashamed to be related to people who could do this to their own child." The reputation they'd spent decades building, successful family, 2 beautiful daughters, pillars of the community, had crumbled in a week. All because they'd decided to show their favoritism in public, never imagining that the daughter they discounted might be worth more than they'd ever dreamed. 3 months into my job, Marcus called me into his office with barely contained excitement. "The board loved your algorithm. They want to fast-track you to team lead." "Already?" I sat down stunned. "But I just started." "Maya, you've revolutionized our data processing. What takes competitors hours, we now do in minutes. That's worth millions." He slid a new offer across the desk. 20% raise, equity increase, and you'll be managing 5 engineers. I stared at the numbers. At 22, I'd be making more than my father ever had in his best year. "There's more," Marcus continued. "MIT called. They want you to start the program early, this fall instead of spring. They're offering additional funding for your research." My life was accelerating at a pace I'd never imagined. Every week brought new opportunities, new validations of my worth. The tech community had embraced me completely. I was invited to speak at conferences, contribute to journals, collaborate with industry leaders. "You know what the best part is?" Sarah, my colleague, said over lunch. "You're not successful because of your family name or connections. You're successful because you're fucking brilliant." I'd built a new family of mentors, colleagues, and friends who saw me clearly. Dr. Harrison checked in weekly. Professor Martinez invited me to guest lecture. My team at work had become my closest confidants. "My parents gave my sister everything," I told Sarah one day. "Private tutors, test prep, networking events, and I still outperformed her with nothing but library books and determination." "That's not nothing," Sarah corrected. "That's everything. That's character." The biggest surprise came at month 6, a call from Forbes. They wanted to feature me in their 30 under 30 list for technology innovators. But the biggest surprise came at month 6. The letter arrived exactly 6 months after I'd sent my terms. Thick, handwritten, addressed in my mother's careful script to my office. They didn't have my home address. Inside were 3 separate letters. I read Dad's first. "Maya, we've attended 13 therapy sessions. Dr. Coleman says we have Golden child syndrome. We chose Sophia to be special because she seemed to need it more, and assigned you the role of the responsible one. We damaged both of you. I see that now. I was wrong. Simply, completely wrong. Mom's was longer, tear-stained. I failed you. Every birthday where Sophia got more, every achievement I ignored, every time I said you were fine on your own. I was failing you. Dr. Coleman asked me to list your accomplishments. I couldn't. I knew nothing about my own daughter. I'm so ashamed. Sophia's was the most surprising. I got the job at Morrison Marketing on my own. No connections, no help. Starting salary, $35,000. It's humbling. You were making six figures while I was getting drunk at sorority parties. I'm in therapy too. Turns out being the golden child fucked me up too. I never learned to earn anything. You saved yourself by being ignored. I'm 22 and just learning what you knew at 12. That worth comes from within, not from what others hand you. I'm sorry I took what should have been yours. All of it. The letters felt genuine, but trust was a bridge burned to ash. Still, something in me softened slightly. Not forgiveness, that would take years, if ever. But perhaps a crack in the wall I'd built. I had a choice to make. They'd met my terms. They'd done the work. The question was, did I want to let them try? We met at a neutral restaurant downtown, the kind with white tablecloths and soft jazz. I arrived first, choosing a table where I could see the door. Control. Everything on my terms. They looked older, smaller somehow. 6 months had carved new lines on their faces. Sophia had changed the most. Gone was the entitled princess. She looked tired, humbled, real. Thank you for coming, Dad started, then stopped. No, that's not. Maya, I'm sorry, deeply, truly sorry. We understand if this is just goodbye, Mom added quickly. We just wanted to see you, to tell you in person that we know what we did. I studied them. Tell me one thing about my research, without looking it up. They exchanged glances. It's about artificial intelligence, Dad ventured. Something about making computers learn faster? Machine learning optimization for healthcare diagnostics, I corrected. It could help detect cancer 3 years earlier than current methods. Oh my God, Mom whispered. You're saving lives? Potentially thousands, I said simply. But you never asked. Sophia spoke up. I've been reading your published papers. I don't understand them, but I understand they're important. You're important. I always was, I said firmly. You just never saw it. We see it now, Dad said. Too late, but we see it. I laid out my boundaries clearly. Lunch once a month. No holidays for the first year. No money talk, ever. No comparisons. They agreed to everything. I'm not doing this for you, I told them as we prepared to leave. I'm doing it for me, because holding on to anger is exhausting, and I have better things to do with my energy. Like changing the world? Sophia asked with a small smile. Exactly like that. Love doesn't require accepting disrespect. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And family? Sometimes it's just people you have lunch with once a month. A year later, our new normal had settled into something sustainable. Monthly lunches stayed surface level, but civil. We talked about weather, current events, safe topics. They never asked for money, referrals, or favors. I never offered. Sophia had found her own path, working her way up at Morrison Marketing through actual merit. She'd called me once, privately. I'm getting promoted, earned it myself. Thought you should know. I'd congratulated her and meant it. My parents had downsized their house, donated the difference to the Maya Thompson Excellence Fund without telling me. I found out from Dean Harrison. They were in therapy twice a month now, working through decades of toxic patterns. Your mother cried for an hour last week, Derek told me at coffee. She found your old science fair trophies in the attic, the ones she never displayed. She's put them up now, in the living room. Too little, too late, I said, but without venom. The anger had cooled into indifference. My life had expanded beyond anything they could have imagined. MIT was everything I'd dreamed. My work at Innovate Tech had led to 3 patents. Forbes had featured me twice now. I'd bought my own condo, traveled to conferences in 12 countries, built a network of brilliant minds who valued me. At Christmas, I sent them a card, nothing more. They sent one back with a simple message: proud of the woman you've become. Ashamed we had nothing to do with it. It was the most honest thing they'd ever said to me. Sophia started her own tradition. She donated her birthday money to scholarships for overlooked siblings. It won't fix us, she'd written in her note, but maybe it'll help someone else. We were 4 people who shared DNA and monthly meals. It wasn't the family they'd wanted, but it was the one they'd earned. Looking back now, 2 years later, I realized the $10 gift card was the best thing my parents ever gave me. Not because it taught me gratitude, their intended lesson, but because it taught me my worth couldn't be determined by anyone else's investment in me. I've learned that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up. Dean Harrison walked me down the aisle at my wedding to Marcus's cousin, a brilliant engineer who sees me clearly. My parents were invited but seated in the 3rd row. They understood. The Maya Thompson Excellence Fund has helped 17 students escape similar situations. I review every application personally, looking for that familiar combination of brilliance and invisibility, talent and neglect. I see myself in their essays, their struggle to matter in families that don't notice them. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're self-preservation. I don't hate my parents or Sophia, I nothing them mostly. They're people I know who made choices that freed me to make my own. Success really is the best response to being undervalued. Not revenge success, not I'll show them success, but the quiet, sustainable success of building a life where your worth is never in question. My parents gave Sophia $15,000 and the belief she deserved the world. They gave me $10 and the knowledge that I'd have to earn everything myself. Looking at where we both are now, I got the better deal. Sometimes walking away is walking towards something better. Sometimes the family that raises you is just preparing you to find the family that celebrates you. What boundaries do you need to set? What assumptions about your worth do you need to challenge? Your value isn't determined by how others treat you, it's determined by how you treat yourself. And that's worth infinitely more than $10. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by family favoritism. What boundaries have you had to set with family? I read every comment, and your stories matter. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves parents who celebrate all their children equally. And remember, subscribe for more stories about choosing yourself, setting boundaries, and finding your worth. Until next time, remember, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you deserve to be celebrated for exactly who you are. Not in comparison to anyone else, but for your own unique light. Thank you for listening to my story.